Echo 64 here. So starting the live stream is just before 9 p.m., so a minute or two early. Just watching the markets close here. The Dow right now is down 110. The S&P is down 10 points. Gold is just above 1,300. Spot gold. Silver is doing really well today. It's up 1.34%, while gold is up 1/3%. So that ratio, gold-silver ratio, is dropping again. Billy has joined in for the live stream. He is kind of asleep, though, but he's here with us. So the gold-silver ratio has dropped to around 76 now. The Fed raised rates as expected to 1.75% to 2%, and they're set to raise rates another 2 times this year, which is more. Previously, it was expected to raise 3 times, and now it's going to be 4. Hi, IDK, Chris Bearer, AML, Bitcoin. What does AML mean? Late as usual. Hi, Prof. Grampy. No, you're not late. I just went live a minute ago. Periphery Pete, hello, just got here. I hope all is good there. Yeah, everything's doing great. Hi, Terry Rabidou. How are you? Bitcoin Belize. Hey, Bitcoin Belize, how are you doing? Peter Rychuk, hello, Maneko. Hi, Peter. Hi, Chris. Hi, Anonymous. Hey, Periphery Pete. Nice to see you. Sergio Senya, evening, everyone. Wesley from Alabama. A lot of people coming on. 53 people already. So the title of my live stream is Gold, Silver, the Rule of Law, and Q&A, I guess, and the economy. Hi, Slofton 877 from Mississippi. How are you doing? Hi, Kevin. Hi, No, the cheerleader, No. Noodle Nope. Everyone to subscribe to Maneko. He's great. Oh, thank you, Noodle Nope. I'm gonna wait a little longer for people to come in so I can talk about some of the things that I think are important. I listened earlier today to a really good interview that Greg Hunter did with Dr. David Janda. I highly recommend it. It's very long. It's over an hour, but if you have the time, I recommend it. It's called David Janda, Donald Trump Will Preside Over Reset and Bankruptcy. And yeah, you have to listen to the whole interview. He talks about that more towards the end. I'll put the link right here for you guys. I highly recommend this interview with Dr. David Janda. Let's see, Hugo Jarava. Hi, Hugo. Hi, Frank. Glasgow from Houston. Periphery Pete. Don't forget the like button. Yeah. Ru Fernando. Hey, from Oregon. Hi, Ru Fernando. Serious question from Anonymous. One that can determine much of everything. SC Drifter 54. I remember you. I remember the chat room. Nice to see you here, Drifter 54. Truth, Money, and Freedom. Hi, Maneko. Great to see you. Yeah, I really recommend. So I'll go on and I'll talk a little bit about what I understood Dr. David Janda to say. Basically, he's saying he believes Trump is doing the right thing. He's going after kind of like the swamp. And tomorrow is going to be a really important day with the Inspector General report from the Department of Justice. It's going to look into whether whether the Department of Justice, the FBI, gave Hillary Clinton like an easy time when they were investigating her servers and computers. So it could be huge tomorrow. And tomorrow, as well as President Trump's birthday, David Janda said that eventually, from his sources, he thinks that Donald Trump is trying to go after the big people through through the legal system. He's appointing new judges, and eventually he thinks he will preside over the bankruptcy of the United States, and a reset of gold and silver prices will be one of the ways to do it. He said it wouldn't make sense to do it before you bring the rule of law back into the U.S., and he thinks this IG report being published tomorrow could be a huge thing, even though it might be redacted. So I recommend that. Am I saying that I think Trump is doing all the right things? To be honest, I think a lot of the things he does is confusing, but he is pissing off the right people that you need to piss off. Like the G7 were very annoyed with him, and the G7, most of those guys are just puppets for the globalists. So let's see. A. Uchida, hello from Salinas, California. Hey, nice to see you, A. Uchida. Let's see. Toblerone W nuts. They're resetting the dollar at 52 to 1. It could be 50 to 1 or less. I'm not sure. That's difficult to say. Truth, Money, and Freedom. Hey, Manako, I have a question for you. Do you think China will take over the manipulation of gold and silver markets? No, I don't think so, because they wouldn't be buying as much gold and silver as they are, nor would the Russians or the Indians. And they know that a reset is coming. They might be involved now in the manipulation, so they have time, to buy the physical, and they don't have to pay as much. But I don't think they'll, once they reset, it's probably going to be stuck at a range, a wide band. I don't know what price it will be. It will be a lot higher, I think. So yeah, the Dow, the gold is just stuck around 1,300. They're really keeping it, below that level. The high's been 1301.50 today, but silver's done really well. It's broken above 17. It's broken above a trend line of which I spoke earlier this week. A triangle formation for the last 3-4 years in silver. We've broken through the top of the triangle, so it's looking very good. But as usual, you never know. We could wake up to tomorrow and silver could be down 30 cents with these guys. Hans Holtz, I think Trump is Jesus. Well, I wouldn't go as far as that, but if he were, it makes sense about the rule of law and gold, because gold and the monetary system, you look at the Coinage Act of 1792, that's in the Constitution. It's still there. The Constitution has been kind of ripped up for many years. Maybe he was going to bring that back, but he needs to set the house in order before doing that. Because if you still don't have the rule of law and you try to bring back gold as money, it won't work. They'll cheat. So maybe that's what he's going to be doing. About the economy, I've talked about this many times, how I think all the data is manipulated. And if you look at John Williams' shadow stats, a lot of the statistics nowadays, they don't tell you the real picture. Like inflation is more like 10%. If you calculate it like in 1980, unemployment would be more like 21.5%. And someone's written an article, and Zero Hedge published it today, and they mentioned John Williams from Shadow Stats. So I think this one as well, all of you guys, if you got time, maybe you've read it already, but I highly recommend that article. That's to do with the economy. And the other thing that John Williams doesn't talk about, the fact that government spending now is going through the roof. So the budget deficit has gone up like for 5%. So the deficit, government spending is part of the GDP equation. So if you didn't have a 5% deficit, that would take 5% away from the GDP. So we'd be in a recession. And there's more as well because they underestimate inflation. So the real DGP is higher than it should be. So it's amazing. And that's why people are unhappy. That's why Donald Trump was elected, because they've been lying for so long about the statistics. I know Trump is going along with the statistics, but maybe he needs to play the game. He can't like just change things all at once. So he's using it to his advantage. Marcus Diego, are you buying the Litecoin dip under triple digits? No, I'm not. I used to have some Litecoin, but I've switched over quite a bit of my Litecoin towards EOS. Yeah, the cryptocurrencies are really taking a beating the last few days. As I speak here, Bitcoin is 6,288. Ethereum is 469. EOS has dropped a lot, 978. Am I concerned? No, I think it's a good project, EOS, and I'm going to stick to it. And the voting is picking up. Right now, we're almost at, let's see, almost at 9% of the vote. So I expect to, maybe by the weekend, we'll have the 15% and the election and the validation of the chain for EOS. Vbjorn Gritton, hi Mary, where do you think Bitcoin and cryptos will go the next months? Difficult to say. I mean, I think we're going to bounce from here, but does it mean that we're going to go make new highs? No, we might stay still in the range we've been, most of this year, maybe sideways. And of course, there are different cryptos that will outperform others. So Anonymous, change things all at once, tired of all the waiting. Well, yeah, I agree, but yeah, you need to. I guess the analogy would be you have, you go into a big house and it's wrecked and it's a mess. You need to, yeah, maybe you can demolish the whole house and clean it up, but this is different. This is a country. This involves people that are still in power. So I don't know. It's not as easy. SC Drifter 54 EOS, not a good idea. Well, that's why there's a market, buyers and sellers. I think it's a good idea, and I respect your opinion that it's not. I'll stick to it. I've put a fraction of what I have in there. I still believe in gold and silver. Gold and silver is still my major liquid assets, and it's not going to change. But I think a lot of the cryptocurrencies is more of a speculative move. I think the blockchain is like the internet in the early mid 90s. People used to say as well, why do we need the internet? Who's going to use the internet? That was 25, 20 years ago. And the same thing goes for the blockchain, in my opinion. I could be wrong, but I want to have the exposure. Ian Collister, does Trump owe people in Wall Street for his bailout in the 1990s or 80s with his real estate bankruptcy? Well, I think his dad bailed him out, didn't he? I remember there's a documentary about his dad bringing $5 million to the casino. But I think, yeah, also, what's his name? The Commerce Secretary. He used to work for the Rothschilds. Yeah. But someone like him, though, a big businessman, he will always be involved with banks. So we can't really say that just because of that he's in their pockets. Good question. D-Juro84. How can we use cryptos for payment when they're so volatile? How can we stabilize crypto? Well, let the market will decide that. I've been earning cryptos through Steemit, which has been really nice. Of course, it's volatile. The holdings I have now of Steam have gone down, but it's still fairly substantial. You can go onto my Steemit wallet and have a look. Yeah, of course, it's not nice that it's volatile, but eventually things will stabilize and the market will find a way. Um, Guillaume Charles, Monaco, will we have a new fiat currency with the same central bank in a reset, or will it be like Zimbabwe with the same currency but in denominations 100,000 higher multiples? Um, I think I don't think they're going to let it go to that level, 100,000. What they'll do is they'll reset the gold and silver price, and gold and silver between sovereign countries. That's the way to rebalance accounts. But I'm not sure if we'll get hyperinflation. Um, yeah, so I don't think we're going to have $100,000 denominations. But you're probably going to need a lot more money to buy things because we're going to have the debasement of the dollar and other fiat currencies. Yeah, the Fed clown with Twitter account. Gold prices holding relatively steady as Fed signals two more rate hikes this year. Yeah, one thing I still think the Fed is way behind the curve. Even Lord Rothschild or Jacob Rothschild said, I think earlier this year, that the central bankers are doing a really uh, the experiment is unheard of and never been seen before. I've looked at the chart of the Fed funds rate in the past when the Fed cut rates to lower levels during a recession. They never left that rate for that long, maybe months or maybe 12 months. But ever since '08, when they cut it to zero, they left it there for 7 years before raising it again. And aside from cutting the rates to zero, they printed trillions and trillions of dollars. So I think, yeah, the Fed is in a difficult situation. Uh, I think maybe, yeah, they're behind the curve still. Uh, when you listen to CNBC or Bloomberg, they kind of say, "Oh, they're being hawkish," but I'm sorry, they're not hawkish, and that's why gold is going to keep going up. Oh, thank you, Marcus Yago, for the donation on Super Chat. Uh, Marcus says, "Thanks for all the education and analysis. Better than anything I learned at uni from all the Keynesians. Who do you have winning the U.S. Open? Dustin Johnson." Uh, yeah, Dustin Johnson played really well last week in Memphis. He even eagled the last hole to win by like 6 shots. He's one of the favorites, but you never know. Yeah, I mean, it looks like Shinnecock Hills is a really nice course. About Keynesians at university, me too. I did international relations with economics, and I never once heard about the gold standard or Austrian school. It was all Keynesian. I only learned about what I know now later on when I was at work in the city of London. Bought gold and I started looking into gold and then into the Austrian School of Economics. And if you look into gold, you're going to look into free markets because what we have today is not free markets. SC Drifter 54, the US lifestyle is going to change forever. I think the US will introduce a treasury token. I agree with you, Drifter. I think lifestyle is going to change massively. Will it be for the worse? I actually think it might be for the better. Uh, is it really good that people are so indebted and only worried about consumption and borrowing? So a lot of people, a lot of people won't be prepared for this, but I think we will be prepared. And I'm not even saying that something's going to happen to reset. And if it does, fine. We should just keep, living in the present, but be prepared for the worst. Danny Djokovic, Monaco, can you explain exactly how a revaluation of precious metals happens? Well, all they do, Danny, is the Treasury and the Fed, they'll just print loads of dollars and drive the price of gold up. And they'll probably have to sit down with the Chinese, with the EU, with the Russians, the Indians. And that's why I think Trump said that Russia should be back in the G7 as a G8, because they need them there to negotiate. And that's how it would happen. They'll just drive the price of gold up. And what that will do is it will create inflation, because unfortunately, we need inflation to make the debt more palatable all around the world, because we've got so much debt and it's not sustainable anymore. And that's how they do it. That's how they did it in the 30s as well. Thought you meant DJ Trump. No, it's Dustin Johnson. Yeah, he's he won the U.S. Open 2 years ago. Dustin Johnson. Ian Collister, printing trillions of dollars, counterfeiting. Of course it is. They're Federal Reserve notes anyway. They're not back. Constitutionally, the dollar is a weight of silver. Maybe that HR, is it HR 5504? I forgot the net number of the to make the dollar a weight in gold again. Maybe that's going to be something that will come up. Sagir Ashraf, Saudi king buys U.S. Treasury bonds that allow America deficit spending. Yeah, not only the Saudi king, but every other government. I mean, the Chinese buy treasuries, the Japanese buy treasuries, the Brazilians buy treasury. But that's the only game in town. If you don't buy their treasuries and you start, they'll come and invade your country. And especially Saudi Arabia is that's part of the petrodollar agreements, right, Sajir? But that's I think that's on his last legs. Aussie Max, g'day Mario. Hey, Aussie Max, I guess it's quite early for you. You're like 6 in the morning or 7 in the morning in Australia right now on Thursday. So minor. If there was a gold reset, do you think UK government will have a windfall tax? They would have to change the law, and because there's no because the sovereign legally is legal tender, so you can't tax legal tender. That's why it's good to have sovereigns if you're in the UK. And I think the powers that be, the elites in the UK, have sovereigns, so I don't think they'd ever tax it. What they might do is they might ration it for the public to buy it. But if you already have it, you don't have to worry about it. Gregor's, hello from Poland. Hi, Gregor's. Periphery Pete, do you think they'll make it illegal to own gold and silver and call it again if the price goes up? I don't think they'll make it illegal again. I think we need the gold back in the system. I think the system is going to implode. People are going to lose confidence in it completely, and they have to go back to the thing that gives confidence to the monetary system, and that's gold and silver. They've had a 5,000-year track record. Paper, already to us, paper is rubbish, but when the public wakes up to it, and they will wake up to it, I think, eventually. Brief repeat, do you think they'll make it illegal? No, I already answered that. Havoc Horst, hello Mario, are Russia and China plenty of gold-backed currency? I think Yeah, I think we're going to go back, but not just Russia and China. The U.S. will have to go back. So they're just accumulating it. So to be prepared. Um, I'm not sure if it's going to be the dollar. It could be a basket, but gold will be very important. They might not even be gold backed, the currencies, but they're going to allow the price of gold to go up. They might do like during Bretton Woods, have the, how can I say, sovereign countries able to redeem gold for trade. So, and maybe that's why Trump is trying to negotiate all the trade deals, all the tariffs he's trying to like impose, because once you go on a gold standard, you have to have rules, trade rules that are mutually beneficial to everyone. So I don't think we're going to go back to domestic gold standards. Like here in the UK, you won't be able to go to the bank and get gold from your banknote. But I think it's going to be between countries like it used to be till 1971. I know it's not perfect, but it's better than what we've got now. That's what will the prediction of EOS by price for EOS by the end of 2018. SS, I don't really care, and I wouldn't like to predict something like that. The reason that I've gotten into EOS is because I believe in the project. There's more than just the price of EOS. There's all the airdrops that I think people will get from that. So it's almost like an income you're going to be getting. It's like a real estate of the blockchain. So yeah, it might go up. I don't know, but I'm not really concerned. Of course, it'd be nice for it to go up more. Truth, money, and freedom. Do you think they recall Bitcoin and use it to back fiat currency? No, I think they'll use gold and silver. Bitcoin will be around, but I don't think there's enough. Well, there is enough Bitcoin, but the price would be quite high if to back the fiat money with Bitcoin. Sajir Ashraf, Kissinger, Nixon were genius that made America a supreme country. War with China is coming in South China. I hope petrodollar dies. I don't really understand what you mean by a supreme country, but definitely a lawless country it became. I think that was a bad thing, that it was Kissinger worked for the Rockefellers. Kissinger was a globalist. So I hope the petrodollar dies too. I hope we go back to sound money, Sajir Ashraf. I mean, I remember watching Lawrence of Arabia, and I think it was back sometimes in the 20s or 30s, and he was in Arabia, and they said, "Oh, we don't accept paper money, we accept gold." So the Arabs have a tradition for real money and sound money. Let's have a look here. DAX at Monaco, when the powers that be start to lose control, how high a priority will precious metal manipulation be? Would they just have to focus on saving their story skins? Yeah, that's right. That will end. Yeah, they lose control. That's what will happen. Would gold and precious metal stocks go up with the price of physical metals? Of course they would, but sometimes they don't go up or down at the same time. But of course they would go. The Maestro, evening, Monaco. Hi, the Maestro. SC Drifter be can't be precious metals backed currency here in the US. No one has any of it. Well, believe me though, if the price starts going up, people will start rushing to buy it. Periphery Pete, the worry is most people have no gold or silver. If and when there's a crash, I'm worried for most people. I agree, and that's what Dr. Janda said as well. Unfortunately, this has to be done. The problem is, for the last almost 50 years, the globalists have been in charge, and they've run not only the US, but the UK, the rest of Europe, everywhere. They've run all these countries to the ground. They've highly indebted them. They've you know urged and kind of encouraged people to get into debt. And yeah, I mean, people that think like we do, they'll will be fine, I think. But and that's why it's important for people to get out of the game, get out of debt, try to have some protection, some insurance, monetary insurance like gold and silver. Yeah, and that is worrying, unfortunately, periphery Pete. That's the way it is. M640, hi. What is your opinion about Brexit? Is it good or bad in the long run or long term? I think Brexit is a scapegoat for the coming economic collapse. And the health of the UK economy has nothing to do with Brexit. It's all to do with all the debt that this country has incurred prior to the '08 crisis and after the '08 crisis, which was even worse. So Brexit is irrelevant, in my opinion, and is a scapegoat that will be used to blame, economic, probable economic collapse. Uh, Bumper plates. What do you think of Silvio Gezzo and Demirage? Sorry, I've never heard of Silvio Gezzo. David Shin, have you had any contact, or who do you trust most out of these people? Jim Rickards, Jim Willie, Mike Maloney, and Martin Armstrong, or someone else? Jim Rickards, I'm not. His views uh, on money, I think they're sound, but I don't trust him that much. I think he's involved with the deep state, but he could be a good guy. I don't know. Jim Willie, he's a little bit of a. I don't know. He's all right, but he always says my sources. So Mike Maloney, I think he's good. He's done a lot of good work about how the monetary system works. Martin Armstrong, I used to trust him more when he was riding out of jail or prison. Since he's gotten out, I don't really rate too much the stuff he does. I think he's been asked to do the elite's bidding. That was his the quid pro quo for him to get out of jail. Sajir Ashraf, is it true that the UK will lose 1/3 of its GDP if the petrodollar dies? Probably, because the UK depends a lot on the City of London, and the City of London is like the kind of the financial center for the world, especially for foreign exchange. If we go back to like fixed exchange rates, gold, like Bretton Woods, that would be bad for London, and it would be bad for the UK. Most people think New York is the financial center of the world, and to some extent it is, but in terms of currency trading, it's definitely London. Matthias Carroll, who needs gold and silver when you have Pokemon? Yeah, well, young people love Pokemon. Yeah. Luis Cuevas, hi Monaco. Question for you: which hard assets apart from gold and silver will perform well during hyperinflationary events? At what time is it reasonable to exchange the precious metals for assets? It's difficult to say at what time, but I think hard assets, stocks in companies that have factories and things like that could do well. Um, I think you will know when it's time to exchange your gold for hard assets. I mean, for example, in 1923, during the Weimar hyperinflation in Germany, someone found a gold coin, a 1 ounce gold coin, and they were able to buy like a hotel with it. So um, that's you have it has to get really bad, and then then you think, oh, it's never going to get better, and you're like scared, but you have to do it, you see. Periphery Pete, Jim Willie is wild and fun to listen to. Yeah, I think he's quite fun to listen to. He makes some good points, but a lot of the things he's been saying, have been happening about the petrodollar. So he hasn't been wrong. David BB, hello, Monaco. Have you voted for EOS? I have. I actually voted on Sunday when it just started, and I actually voted again today because you can change your vote. Because I voted for 30 different block producers, but today I just changed it and voted just for 3. Jim Rickers and Peter Schiff just looked after themselves. Yeah, I think they are quite into writing their books and making money and stuff, which I don't think is wrong. I mean, I do make money from my videos, from the monetization, from donations, but sometimes they can be just too much. I think it's good to sometimes just do it. Like, tell people you don't have to get paid all the time for everything. Let's see here. Danny Djokovic, how do we know which fiat to trust in order to convert our precious metals into yet another fiat currency once the market crashes? Maybe they won't be fiat anymore, but you can exchange them for the fiat to fiat and then straight to a hard asset. So you don't have to keep it in that fiat forever. So, if you have gold and there's hyperinflation, there will be a new currency. So, and if you want to buy like a property or real estate or land or anything else, you have to use the legal tender. As Drifter 54, Maneko, you're doing great. Keep up the good work, especially your AM London videos. Thank you. Or you're welcome. Uh, NASDAQ SC, Trump to slap China with tens of billions in tariffs as early as Friday. Yeah, I saw that, which is a bit weird because according to Dr. David Janda, one of the reasons Trump met with Kim is because the Chinese are, giving the Americans trade concessions. So it doesn't look like to be going too well. But again, I think a lot of the stuff that is for public consumption is just for theater, and the real negotiations, we don't know what's really going on. So I don't know. Guillaume Charles, some say the Roman Empire fell because of economic collapse. Wasn't their currency debased on a gold or silver standard? Yeah, they used to debase the silver coins. They kept the same face value, and at one point there was no silver anymore, and the soldiers wouldn't fight for them anymore. And that's it took a lot of time though for the silver. It was the silver denarius to get debased, but it used to have mostly silver, but at one point it was all copper, covered with a little bit of silver. Thanks for yeah, Parlando, smash the like button. Thank you. Slofton 877. D Nuts waiting for bull confirmation to buy crypto bloodbath. Thank, thankfully tethered at 7,200 Bitcoin. Uh, within Sajir Ashraf, within 7 weeks, 12% of oil is now being traded in petro yuan. And as U.S. sanctions against Iran will help China petroleum, most Americans are ignorant about it. Yeah, I agree, Sajir. I have been following the Shanghai. They call it the sour crude at the International Energy Exchange, and it's been really, March 26th it started trading, and it's probably even more now than 12%. I would say it's picking up really nicely, and as President Putin said, with all the sanctions and now with the trade tariffs as well, the Americans are kind of shooting themselves in the foot. Are they doing it on purpose so that people leave the dollar? And maybe they are, because it's a burden as well having the reserve currency for the last 70 years, and especially under a fiat money system. Andre de la Fontaine, repeat, if you can exchange the yuan for gold, then it's gold back. Do you agree, Mario? Yeah. And some people will argue, oh, you can do that on the Comex. But believe me, I worked in the futures market for 20 years, and I did mostly in bond futures, but I did do quite a bit of gold on Comex and silver for clients, and clients never asked about delivery. And if I asked my boss, oh, if this client wants to take delivery of gold, he'd say, forget it. Just tell him to get out. So basically, Comex is not a true physical market, I would say, and they make it difficult for people to take delivery. But I don't think the Chinese will do that. They follow the rules. The Chinese in China, you do something wrong, fraud or theft in the financial system, there's capital punishment. So I think, yeah, I agree with that. Demirage is Demirage's cost of keeping fiat and gold. Gesso proposed something like tax for people holding fiat to speed up velocity of money. I don't agree with any tax. So the the reason we have problems like velocity is because the markets have been manipulated by central banks, and hopefully they won't be around for much longer, or even if they're around, they won't be as important if we go back to like an honest sound money system. So yeah, I never heard of that guy, and I actually don't. Yeah, I've heard of proposals that in Japan, for example, to have banknotes that have an expiry on them. So if you don't spend it, they become worthless. But I think that's completely, it's not the solution. Vbjorn Gritton, what countries do you think will do best if economic crisis hit the world soon? I think Iceland will do well because they cleaned up, their financial system, their banking system after the '08 crisis. But apart from that, I don't think many countries will do that well. Maybe North Korea will do well because they're already down in the dumps. But North Korea. um, don't think anyone will escape. David BB, will Brazil win the World Cup? Uh, I hope so, but you never know. The Germans are always good, even when they don't play very well. They seem to be able to win. Josh Rum Portal, are you more bullish on precious metals or crypto when fiat collapses more? Um, Difficult to say. I guess precious metals have a lot more to catch up, even though Bitcoin is down quite a bit since the high in December. It's still, like I remember when people were talking about parity for gold and Bitcoin. So I would be, I would think that gold would outperform Bitcoin. But there are other cryptocurrencies out there with new technologies that could do better than gold, but they're more speculative. I would say gold and silver are more stores of value, even though I think, hopefully they will reflect all the inflation we've had that has been covered up. Silver price is rising. Let's see where we are right now. Oh, we've come back down. We're at 1702. We've been high as 1712, but it's done well today. Silver, it's up 1%. As usual, though, they take it down after the markets close. Right now, it's trading like on the after hours, and that's not as liquid, so it's easier for them to like whack it down a little bit. Danny Djokovic in the 1990s in the Balkans, simple things like a dozen eggs skyrocket along with cigarettes and milk. Is it safe to say the same thing will happen when the market crashes, meaning farmers get rich? Um, I don't even know. I wouldn't say the farmers get rich. If the currency collapses, why would you want to exchange something that's taken you a lot of work to grow or to cultivate? I can see why farmers would not want to sell for a, like a fixed price or government imposed price if the currency is worthless. Would you do that? And I don't think they got rich, the farmers, because yeah, they might have sold stuff, but then the currency would have collapsed. I can understand why they do that. Mario, what's your asset allocation percentages? Well, I mean, that's up to each individual. But I don't have really much. I don't have much in the general stock market because I think that market is just like it's just a club and it's rigged. But I'm more to gold and silver and cryptocurrencies, but more towards gold and silver. Don't know exactly, the percentage. CenterServe International, hi CenterServe. 100 years ago, one cow worth 1 ounce of silver. Yeah, silver is way undervalued, isn't it? I mean, I think it should be. Yeah, things are. I hopefully, things will go back to normal because I also think if you look at since the fiat money regime and floating exchange rate started in the 71 and 73, the world's gone crazy in terms of debt, of bubbles. Um, Things are not real anymore. We need to go back to reality. And of course, a lot of people are going to get hurt, but we need to do it for the long term. We need to take the medicine. Andrew de La Fontaine, do you think that a gold backed crypto would rise to be the ultimate currency? Possible. Yeah, very possible. I think gold and silver are the ultimate cryptos, really. Um, because gold more than silver. Gold never, you can't destroy it. I think there's only one acid that you can really do some damage to it. It doesn't rot. It's all, you find it after 1,000 years still there. It's incorruptible. Of course, there's people who try to fake gold, but real gold is like it's like yeah, you can't like change the protocol. It's gold. Let's see some more questions here. Yeah, Billy's here. He's gonna get his haircut tomorrow in the afternoon. So Friday morning he'll be a bit. Yeah, he's growing a little bit, and it's hot here in England, so he needs that. Periphery Pete, sent to serve international. I'm in Britain. Only the criminals have guns here, sadly. Yeah, that's true. Billy is the coolest dog. Sent to serve international. Yeah, he's gonna be 10 years old, July 6th. So yeah, he's getting old. Dennis Bowl on the U.S. debt clock a few years ago, silver to dollar ratio was over 1,000. Now it's around 580. Yeah, I don't really look at that. This silver ratio in the U.S. debt clock. Is Bitcoin a dinosaur? No, I don't think it's a dinosaur. Bitcoin. I think it will be around for a while still. Kathleen Smith, I think they will go back to sound money, but that will shrink the economy and world will sink into depression. We're already in a depression. You know, everything is like a Potemkin village now. It's not real. Uh, in the US, I was reading this article today. They don't count the people that have given up looking for a job. There's almost 100 million people without a job. If that isn't a depression, I don't know what is. The same in the UK. Well, look at Europe. The young people in Europe, youth unemployment is like 35 or 40%. So I don't think it will get worse. What going back to sound money will do, it's going to like destroy big governments and welfare state, warfare state. And yeah, a lot of people are going to be hurt from that, but it will help the private sector greatly. It will take time though, but we have to do it because we can't keep going like we are right now. Uh, See that EOS is pumping up. Yeah, I just see that as back up above $10. I'm not, as I said, I'm not concerned. So Licks 59, I think 90% of cryptos will be worthless in less than 5 years. You could be right. I mean, a lot of the .com companies became worthless, but that doesn't mean that the internet isn't around. So a lot of cryptos and these tokens and that these ICOs will be projects that will fail, but the blockchain will still be around. DAX, yeah, Bitcoin was 61 24 hours ago. We're now 6,300. Yeah. Hokey dokey. In my opinion, you have to step on the scale, and this is the amount you have to stuck in silver. If you have a wife and children, put them on the scale too. The dog as well. That's interesting. Buy your weight in silver. Do you guys know the story about the? I think it was the king of Egypt. He used to make people pay uh, in taxes his weight in gold every year, and he was a really fat guy. He really put on a lot of weight. Forgot his name though. I think he might have even been the guy who bought the 1933 double eagle. He was a coin collector. Periphery Pete, we're getting closer to being ready to riot in Britain generally. Yeah, I mean the UK has been really hijacked by the globalists and the City of London. And that's not saying that I don't think the City of London should have a function, and we should it does serve a function, but it's become like the tail wagging the dog, and that's because of the fiat money system. Um, so yeah, I agree with that. Periphery Pete. The UK and Britain has a lot going for it, in my opinion. We have relatively, you know, we have the infrastructure, we have the people, relatively high educated population, tradition of rule of law and freedom. So yeah, there's not much that we need to get back on the right track again. Yeah, gold is, yeah, it's stuck around 1300, but I'm not concerned. We shouldn't really worry too much about the price because one day you won't be able to get any gold and then they'll do a reset. This is what David Janda thinks is going to happen on the weekend, and then they're going to shut the market on the Monday, and then it's going to be too late. And also, the gold that you thought you had in an ETF or like paper gold, that's not going to count for anything. Uh, when would the markets implode? I don't know. There's a guy called Marshall Swing, and he's made some good calls in the past, but he thinks it's going to happen in July. But don't quote me on that. V. Bjorn Gritton, did you study economics in Brazil? No, I went to university in the U.S. and I finished my studies in Switzerland. I did like 3 years in the States, and then I transferred to university in Switzerland. And I was in Switzerland. I started working in Switzerland, but it took me a while to get my job in banking in Switzerland. It was in the 88, 89, late 80s, and the economy there wasn't doing great. And so I did some odd jobs after I left university. I did some skiing, taught some skiing one winter, and then in the summer I did some like golf lessons. I taught some golf, but then I got my job. So it took me about 9 to 12 months to get my job. Marie Nestor, sorry I'm late to the live stream. Are you more bullish on silver or gold? And if we did go back to silver and gold based system, would the wealth still end up in the hands of the few? Uh, Probably, but if you're protected with gold and silver, yeah, because how many people in the street do you talk to and they're like, oh, we're buying gold and silver? But, I'm trying to tell people about it. So hopefully more people won't be, people will benefit from it as well. But I think in the long run, sound money and honest money and small government will be better for everyone. But it will be painful in the beginning. Let's see. Periphery Pete, do you think the Visa card stopping working on a Friday in the holidays was a beta test? Possible, very possible, yeah. Glenn Brunk, what if a country mining gold has a huge surplus and floods the market? Uh, Glenn, the thing with gold is that it's been mined for thousands of years, and all the gold that's ever been found is still around. So that's why gold is money. If people find new gold, unless it's a huge find, like the in California gold rush, 1849, unless it's something huge, it's not going to impact the price. In California, it did, but only in California. But it didn't impact. Yeah, so it doesn't really work like that with gold because gold is not spent, it's not consumed. So, and that's why it's money, and people don't understand that. They found a big mine, let's say in Kazakhstan, and they're going to be producing loads of gold. It won't have an impact. Hopefully that explains it. Adrian MS, prime precious metals is in a tight range. Smacks of manipulation. JP Morgan Co. is so in your face. Why have these players not faced the wrath of Securities Commission, FCA? Well, because they're doing it for the governments, Adrian, and the FCA, the SEC, the CFTC. They are the governments, so that's how they get away with it. But yeah, the rule of law doesn't apply to them, but it will hopefully. It will hopefully. I don't really think we need these regulators. If they're really regulators and they're honest and ethical, they would be going after the central banks, because the central banks, with the governments, they print money out of thin air. And that, to me, is the most fraudulent activity there is. So, of course, the SEC and the CFTC and the FCA, sometimes they punish the small guy just to pretend they're doing something, but they'll never go against the central banks. Unless, of course, we get the rule of law, unless something really changes politically, and that seems to be happening in the States. I hope so. I hope Dr. David Janda is right about that. And I'll put the link below in the description in the recorded live stream to David Janda's interview with Greg Hunter. I highly recommend people watch it. I'll put it on again here now because I put it earlier in the chat. You guys need to listen to this interview. It's long, but it's good. Dan Reynolds, the late Adrian Douglas from GATA, about 8 years ago, predicted silver will go to 5,000. I remember Adrian Douglas. Yeah, that was sad. He died quite young. 5,000. Wow. Yeah, I mean, could be right, but that would mean gold would have to be like, or you never know, because silver has been manipulated for so much longer than gold. What if gold and silver went 1-to-1? 5,000 ounce silver, 5,000 ounce gold, or maybe 2-to-1. Thor Bass 1, which countries do you believe will come out the best in time of a worldwide monetary crisis reset? USA, Europe, Asia, or South America? I would have to say that Asia would come out best because the Asians are preparing for it. China's been buying a lot of gold. India, Indians always have a lot of gold. The Russians, I guess, they're kind of Eurasia. And I think the Asians in general, have more of a tradition of gold. South America, I don't think will do well in the short term. Longer term, they probably will, because commodity prices might revive. So yeah, Asia, I think, will do best. Licks 59, Thor Bass. My pick is Switzerland. I mean, Switzerland is not what it used to be. They've kind of been corrupted, their banking system. So yeah, you could be right, but yes, I'll stick with Asia. That doesn't mean I'm going to move to Asia. Kathleen Smith, miners say real ratio of gold to silver is 10-to-1. Right now, historically, it has been 16-to-1. Yeah, I think we're around 77 or even 76 it got to today. You are all too small for me. By the way, Creatures from Jekyll Island, read it. Yeah, I've read The Creature from Jekyll Island. It's a good book, many years ago. Sajir Ashraf, yeah, I heard the Turks have repatriated their gold. The Germans as well they've repatriated the gold. Um, a lot of people are taking their gold back. And some people argue that's why there will be a reset, because they want to have that gold when that happens. OG, how long do you think we'll have till the big collapse? Again, difficult to say. I don't know. But I don't think we should worry about it. We should just go on with our lives, live in the present, but be prepared. Because if we keep just waiting for a collapse, then we don't get on with our lives. Nunya Business. Good day, Mario. Have you read Confessions of an Economic Hitman by John Perkins? Yes, I have. Very good book. Looks like they're doing something like that now in Argentina. The IMF has gone there to give them a big $50 billion loan. They're probably going to pull the plug. And then, the big corporations and multinationals would come in and take over Argentinian assets on the cheap. Looks like the Argentinian president has been he's probably gotten a lot out of this, because if he hadn't agreed to the IMF loan, they probably would have gotten rid of him. And if they couldn't get rid of him, they would have had a coup. Yeah, I know all about the economic hitman. Yeah, it is 76-1, Kathleen, the ratio, and it is going lower. So I think that's a positive for the precious metals. Periphery Pete, IMF, horrible asset strippers. Yeah, IMF, they're the asset strippers for the globalists. That's what they are. They were created along with the UN, the World Bank. They're not there to help people. They're there to enslave and to rape the world for the globalists and the big corporations. Hopefully, they won't be around that long. Raymond Edwards, sold my house 2 weeks ago and have 140,000 in the bank. What do you recommend me do with my money? Well, my first question is, are you in the US? So where are you living now if you sold your house? Because if I sold my house, I'd probably buy another house. And I sold my house a few years ago and bought the house I live in, and I had some money left over. Some of it I used to renovate my new house, which is a big investment, and the rest I bought some gold and some silver, and then I kept some cash. That's what I did. Lawrence Henney, how have the weights and measures on our coins changed in the USA since the founding documentation was written and acted upon? They haven't really changed. If you look, it's still there, but it's not being used anymore. It's been hijacked by the fake coins, and the Federal Reserve note that is an imposter, is out there as a dollar. Adrian MS, how can governments encourage inflation to erode the debt pile? This is the quietly taken away by the government, so no protection if a crash now. Oh, sorry. How can governments encourage inflation to erode the debt pile? That is the only way to recover long term, is it not? Well, that's what they've been doing. They always debase the currency. They've been doing it here in the UK, and the people who suffer are the average people who get paid in that currency. But sometimes, like now, the debt pile gets so large that the more you debase the currency, there comes a point, it's like the frog, boiling the frog in the pan, analogy. You get to a point where you're boiling the frog so much, you got to stop that and maybe do something completely different. And that's where a reset comes in. Because if you keep doing what you're doing, people are going to rise up. DM, thank you for the donation. No crash, slow grind down, plus demographic replacement. Yeah, you could be right. You could be right. Nunia Business, I have come to the conclusion that Trump is in office to supervise the bankruptcy of the US. What do you think, Mario? Even before he got elected and when he was campaigning, a lot of people, that's one of the things that I thought. Dr. David Jandeth seems to think the same thing. He has experience with bankruptcy. I think he hasn't personally gone bankrupt, but his companies have. So I guess he would be the best person to negotiate. Because if the US goes bankrupt, it's an international event. Because the US is the biggest debtor nation. And it will have to negotiate with its biggest creditors, China, Japan, other countries. So you could be right. Let's have a look. Mark Walsh, Mario, what do you think about Dr. Paul Craig Roberts? Yeah, I mean, I think he's a good guy. He used to work for the Reagan administration. I haven't really listened to him of late. I haven't seen him. He's usually on with Greg Hunter, but yeah, I haven't. I think he's on the same wavelength as we are. Licks 59. Why would Trump want to bankrupt our USA and have his name attached to it? Well, what do you mean by our USA? I think the US is actually, some people argue that all the debt is the US is a corporation, so that technically and legally, the people shouldn't really be liable for it. So it could be a good thing because I think the US, as it's been run now, is not a constitutional republic. So it actually could be a really good thing. So by bankrupting the United States, not these United States, that would be a good thing. Actually, it might not seem a good thing because everyone's been brainwashed by the mainstream media, mainstream education, to thinking that the debt should be a debt of the people, but constitutionally it could be the right thing. Oscar Svard, new subscriber since a few weeks. Do you have any video on you top 5 or so books? Thanks for great content. Oh, you're welcome. Yeah, if you go on my YouTube channel and do a search for book review, you'll probably, I have done videos about that. You will find them. Mario, get on a Stefan Molyneux podcast. Yeah, I like Stefan Molyneux. I haven't listened to him for a while. Matthias Carroll. Yeah, Molyneux would be a great conversation. Big Ayn Rand fan. Yeah, Ayn Rand, I mean, I read Atlas Shrugged many years ago. Really long book. I enjoyed it. I mean, Alan Greenspan was a disciple of Ayn Rand, but he kind of went off course a little bit. NASDAQ SC, Milton Friedman is screaming in his grave. Well, I don't really rate Milton Friedman that much. He was supposedly a free market guy. but he was pro fiat money, so not good according to me. Uh, yeah, Grant Williams. Um, he has those podcasts, things that make you go, right? Yeah, they're good, those guys. But they charge for a lot of their stuff, so don't know. OG, in your opinion, what is the best investment for the current climate? Um, well, at the moment, I think it's a time of when you want to preserve your wealth. So it's the time of the vultures. So I think the best way to preserve your wealth, and it's not even an investment, is just gold, silver, to preserve your wealth. I think all asset classes are highly inflated. So, and maybe invest in yourself. You might, or your family. Yeah, something like that. Not the stock market. Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, you could maybe look at some blue chip stocks around the world that have a fairly high dividend. If you need some income, place it there. But yeah. Savio Toronto, hello, nice to see you live. Yay, Savio, nice to see you. I've been on for about an hour and 16 minutes. I think I'm going to do a few more questions, but then I'm going to call it a day. Just, yeah, let's wait for a few more questions. Captain Nemo, Secret Gold Stacker. What do you think of bullion by post for buying gold? I've never used them. I prefer atkinsonsbullion.com. They're based in the UK. Yeah, look it up. Atkinson's Bullion. Frank. Hi, what do you think of SLVT, load physical back cryptos? I haven't looked into those yet. No, so no opinion. Gold money, yeah, gold money is all right if you don't want to hold the physical. And they do, if you ask for redemption and delivery, they do it. I've tried it before and it worked. It's a bit cumbersome, the process though, and it costs you a bit. Renee Kalop, thank you. I'm late for work, but worth it. Have a good day. Oh, you're welcome. Savio Toronto, what do you think of silver used by Apple and Samsung? Yeah, I mean, I haven't really looked in particular, but yeah, from uh, silver has a lot of industrial uses, especially in technology. El Tomo asks, "Hey Mario, good evening. Got in late. I reckon you don't keep your PMs in the bank vault. What do you recommend? My wife is not a huge fan of keeping ours at home. Well, hide it as well as possible, or maybe a private vault. I'm not sure. Not with a bank though." Licks 59. I'd like to see Bitcoin at around $12.50. Danny Djokovic, water is worth more than gold, especially during bad times. True, but if you do have gold, you can get access to water, I would say. Yeah, and depends. Some banks now, I heard J.P. Morgan and some U.S. banks, they don't let people keep gold anymore. They don't have safe to deposit boxes. Nasdaq say, what is your favorite economist? I'd have to say it's from the Austrian school, like Murray Rothbard, Ludwig von Mises, Hermann Hoppe. Yeah, Those would be my favorite economists from the Austrian School of Economics. Okay, so that's it. I'm going to call it a night now or a day, wherever you are. I'd like to thank everyone for showing up. I'll talk to you tomorrow through the video. Take care. Goodbye.